Afternoon, everybody. My name's Tim, and in the ensemble, the Avengers ensemble that you're seeing this afternoon, I'm the green energy guy. So I'm here from Achelous Energy, here to talk to you about constant green power. Incredibly, almost 10% of the world's population doesn't have any access to electricity at the moment. This means that those people have no access to medical facilities, education, industry, and they're trapped in poverty. And for the governments of the countries in which these people live, it's also a huge problem that they've got to solve, and they've got to solve it sustainably and affordably. James, my co-founder, and I set up Achelous 5 years ago to solve that problem. We'd worked in Southeast Asia for over 10 years, and we'd seen firsthand the effects of that poverty. What's our solution? We use one of the world's most abundant, free, natural resources, turning river power into electricity. Our floating unit, which you see there, is moored in the middle of a river, and it suspends two underwater turbines. As the river water flows past the unit, these turbines spin and create power. So essentially, we design and build floating water mills, but water mills that can power 1,000 houses. There's lots of USPs to our tech, lots of it patented or nearly patented, but the key differentiator, I guess, is the fact that we use a constant resource. Rivers are always flowing. It means we can constantly produce power. And that's a step change from other renewables like wind and solar. Rivers are pretty tough places to put complex bits of machinery, and we wanted to test at full scale. This is our full-scale demonstrator, which has been testing in Yangon in Myanmar since February this year, for which we were grant funded by Innovate UK. That has given us a comprehensive de-risking of the technology at full scale, and on the back of that, we have secured with the Nepalese government a pilot project there to deliver both clean energy and clean water to an off-grid community there, making transformative difference. And that is one community of 3,000 in Nepal. So our route to market is with single floating unit projects, and our customers are NGOs and governments supplying power to remote communities. But as we progress the company and as we scale up, we'll be delivering multiple floating units to each project. So our customer base can expand to include utility energy companies producing grid-scale power and private companies that are seeking to do things like hydrogen production or data storage. As our customer base expands, our business model also changes. We start with sale of technology, selling units into the single unit projects. As we progress, we move to a build, own and operate system, and that's where we're selling the power to the off-takers. Eventually, we will be licensing our technology to other energy developers as well. So the renewable energy market, I mean, I could have put any one of a million numbers up there. They're all just massive numbers, which mean nothing. It sits across two massive targets, and that's really what we're focusing on. SDG 7 for energy access by 2030, and of course, net zero and climate change. So framed against that, at the point at which we have a very achievable 1,000 units deployed to grid power projects, so where we're selling the energy, the company will be generating over £120 million worth of revenue every year. And that's with project life cycles of in excess of 50 years. We'll be powering 5 million people, and we'll be offsetting 500,000 tonnes of carbon dioxide every year. And that 1,000 units, to frame it properly, accounts for less than 4% of the targeted renewable energy generation capacity for our entry market of Nepal. What are our credentials for doing this? Well, James and I have hung around looking really cool, primarily on installation rigs and in shipyards around the world. But we've worked together for 15 years, and 10 of those have been in offshore oil and gas. So we've taken very complex bits of machinery all the way from the drawing board through fabrication and then installed them in some of the world's harshest environments. So we know what works for marine technology. And hopefully we've been impressing the right people. We've just won a follow-on grant from Innovate UK for £750,000, and that will part fund our pilot project in Nepal, which will start in January next year. We're also looking to raise 1.5 million in investment. That will help us match fund that grant. It will also allow us to execute our first commercial project thereafter in Nepal, consolidating that market. But really what those two things bring us to is the point of technical validation where we can access large-scale finance, and that's where we scale. And we're ambitious. This technology works absolutely everywhere there's a river that's flowing, so everywhere. And the last part that we use the funds for is, obviously, as part of our scale-up, we've identified our key scaling markets, and we need to recruit business development people in those markets, places like New Zealand and the US. Everybody understands the key importance of green energy and access to green energy for both businesses and households, now and going forwards. The key questions are, how do you do that at big scale and affordably? And those are the questions that our technology answers. We'd love to show you more. We've got some super rad videos at the back, so come and see us afterwards. Thank you very much indeed.